This story is for you if you've ever dreaded asking someone difficult for a favour. In this story, Magnus uses the Cohen Bradford influence model to persuade Tim to do something there would once have been almost no chance of doing. There are several steps in this model and, as you can see, they're not as catchy as some learning models out there. Don't worry, there's no need to remember and check off each step. Get the concept and you'll have the tools you need to identify what other people value and come up with a win-win proposal based on those values to get what you need from reluctant individuals. We need to start with a bit of backstory. Magnus is the head of the PR team, and Tim, who is a rather hot-tempered sort of fellow, runs the super fast, super huge printers in the design department. Magnus is kicking off a big promotional drive for his client's new product and needs some large-scale printing work done fast. He needs some of Tim's time and expertise to design and print some promotional materials. Now, Magnus and Tim seldom speak. Well, to be honest, Tim scares the socks off Magnus. But the first step of the model says to assume everyone is a potential ally. Never write anyone off and never lose heart, no matter how hostile or uncooperative the person. Step 2 is to clarify goals and objectives. Magnus needs Tim's help since no one else is qualified to run the machines. Specifically, a day of his time would be ideal. Steps 3 and 4 are the ones that need considerably more time and effort to implement. 3. Diagnose the other person's world. Why is Tim such a tough nut? Magnus needs to apply empathy to understand his situation, responsibilities, peer pressure, and so on. There's a bit more about empathy in our video Influence, which I think you'll find relevant. Give it a watch when you're done here. Magnus understands now that Tim is under immense pressure to meet tight deadlines, and he's booked up weeks in advance. By analysing what he knows, he can identify relevant currencies. We're not talking that type of currency. This is not about bribery. Cohen and Bradford identify inspiration, task, position, relationship, and personal related currencies as the 5 that most people value highly. In this case, what matters most to Tim are task-related currencies like supplies, help, and material goods. With all this in mind, Magnus can deal with the relationship. This also takes some time, particularly as Magnus and Tim don't exactly speak all that often, but all it takes is the offer of a coffee and the odd chat. The most important key point is the last one, influence through give and take. Having established trust and identified the relevant currency, Magnus calls in a favour with Tim's supervisor and convinces him to move staff around to help Tim out and ease the load. Tim is so grateful to have his workload reduced overall that he's happy to reciprocate, even though that means a little extra work. And you should never underestimate the power of reciprocity. Our animation 6 Principles of Influence goes into this a bit more. Hopefully you can see how this model has helped Magnus with his problem, and hopefully it can help you with yours.